This is Benedict Forsyth, bringing you the latest TRIAC Chronicle recording of 1874, reporting the news in even these darkest of times. It has been some time since our last broadcast, listeners, and for that we must blame the tides of war and the inevitable upheaval that this brings to those of us burdened with the reporting of said events, but not blessed with the strength to face the threats head-on. We at the Chronicle would like to start this broadcast with a thank you and a show of appreciation to all those who fought in, and are still fighting in, the trenches and front lines of the still ongoing war against the Martians. Although the High Overseer has turned her gaze away from the land wars that have currently devastated many parts of the world, in some areas, namely Europe and Australia, the war continues. The trenches of the European front are still filled with brave souls who stopped the dug-in Martians from advancing towards the newly formed Tri-Europa Alliance capital of Antwerp. In Australia, the fall of the capital of New London has sent the protectorates into a whirlwind of controversy as to whether the nation is strong enough to continue in the wake of such death and disaster. And this, listeners, is where we at the Chronicle can be of some service. We are proud and happy to say that the news has reached us that there is hope for Australia and her protectorates. Information has reached us here that the Queen and a number of other higher-ranked government officials have survived and are, it seems, safe. We are at this time unable to say more due to the secrecy of the matter, but if this reporter were to make a guess, I would not think we would have to wait long before we see the Union flag of Victoria and her people flying again. Hope, it seems, survives. The rescue of the Queen was due primarily to a mysterious TRIAC agent with a remarkably violent talent for killing Martians. This red-haired hero has been reported to have dropped into the middle of the Martians that were advancing on the stricken royals' position earlier this year, and, shall we say, distracted them long enough for the party to escape to safety. There is tragedy to report, however, because as much as Victoria was saved, Princess Catherine was lost, and her ship shot down and destroyed by elements of the Martian invasion force as it was separated from the main body as they fled New London. There is also no sign of the unnamed TRIAC agent at this time, last seen amidst a horde of aliens as the royals evacuated. Our hearts go out to Her Majesty and her family, wherever they are at this time. In other news from around the globe, the IEU has seen tragedy over the last years on a scale not witnessed by many other than the Australians for decades. The Mongols as a people are all but extinct, and the vile machinations of the villain Wu Ling have left the City of Pearls and the Empress Sakura with weakened defences and a shattered nation in desperate need of time to rebuild. It is not all disaster, however. The heretofore thought destroyed monks of the temple of Shaolin have stepped out of the shadows of their mountain hiding place and offered their services to help. This powerful resonant order have the ability, it seems, to do what the now destroyed etheric generators cannot, and, for the promise of restitution and aid for the common people of the IEU caught up in the war, the monks have agreed to move into the city and use their power to bolster the Golden Shield, giving the nation the defence it needs in a time when it sorely needs it. Of Wu Ling there has been no sign, but I am sure that the world has not yet heard the last of this venomous blackguard. On the subject of changes in the nations of the world, we turn our eyes to the small but economically powerful nation of independent Kandy. It has been reported that during a Martian attack of the dark steel mines below the city, President Maximilian Reinhardt was fatally injured. A report from the now newly appointed President Liedrin Reinhardt states the nation mourns the passing of her father, but wants to look forward to cooperation between the nations of the world and indeed TRIAC. To quote the new president, "For too long has Kandy been linked with Anti, and from this point that changes. Kandy will stand on its own, and my father's legacy has come to an end. This is the start of a new nation, a new leadership, and a new era of openness and aid in our fight against the Martians. It is time for independent Candy to open itself to the world. I am sure we will soon see the metal of this statement, and if this new president can back up her words with actions. A VRF naval supply base in the South Atlantic came under heavy attack from the Martian forces recently. The critically strategic resupply base on Ascension Island repelled the attack, but it has been severely weakened, and this has in turn made it difficult for French naval forces to operate in the region. The VRF government has made the following statement: "We are saddened and devastated by the attack, and can only hope that we will be able to send forces to the area soon to help the beleaguered remnants of the island. We ask the world to pray for their souls and for a swift conclusion to the threat." Our thoughts are also with the families of those brave Republic forces whose lives were lost in the defence of this position, and hope the survivors can hold out until aid arrives. On the topic of the naval threat that the Martians are now exhibiting, the Chronicle has been asking questions of the foremost naval strategists in the world as to why they think the Martians are planning this naval assault. We have ascertained from the numerous interviews carried out that, quite frankly, the aliens have taken an unprecedented move towards a more human way of waging war. It is theorized that they are aware that the oceans are intrinsic to the survival of humanity, and that they intend to gain superiority in this area to further separate us. The talk of huge Martian ships is currently unsubstantiated, and until further information is attained, the Chronicle will abstain from comment. What can be said is that reports are currently coming in from the Commonwealth that suggest that a large mobilization has been undertaken to activate as many warships as possible. Since the unfortunate incident close to Bermuda last year, the COB forces have been thin on the ground, but suffice to say, it seems that even with the Thunderchild project seemingly mothballed, the Admiralty has been fast-tracking new fleet elements and rebuilding. The latest reports place a vast amount of power redistribution and etheric generators being retasked to add power and resource to the so-called Intuition Engine that is the hub of the naval command and control network that allows the small nation to command such a large fleet. Currently, this information is coming from a source that will remain nameless inside the Admiralty, but has been corroborated by the newly promoted head of the Foreign Office in continued absence of Sir Edmund Wigglesworth, who disappeared shortly after the summit last year. His whereabouts is still unknown, and he is still presumed to be a casualty of war. I'm sure whatever the Martians have in store for us next, the brave naval forces of the world are more than a match for. We salute you all as heroes of the waves. In other news, we say a fond and honoured farewell to the leader of the Arctic Concord, Dr. Henry Fitzroy Lansing. Dr. Lansing passed away at the last TRIAC excursion after being poisoned with a yet unknown substance. It is reported that the doctor was assassinated by the infamous Emily Nightingale, leader of the terrorist organisation RAGE, and for an yet unknown reason. Dr. Lansing's funeral took place earlier this month in Concordia. It was attended by representatives from all of the world's nations. Even Russia sent a delegation, although High Cardinal Rasputin and Premier Nemirov were not in attendance. The world mourns the passing of a great mind and an ambassador for world unity. The new governor of Concordia, Helen Chamberlain, was in attendance but declined to comment on the proceedings. The confusing thing to come out of this tragedy, however, is the reports that we have from some of our international reporters that a person closely resembling the late doctor has been seen travelling with TRIAC agents and other known and unknown individuals. What this means is still as yet unknown, but be assured we at the Chronicle will uncover any details, if they are yet to be found. Finally in this broadcast we look to the next Summit of Nations that was to be scheduled for July this year. With Lord Grey still missing in Europe and TRIAC in a state of upheaval due to the recent war and what seems to be some internal issues regarding leadership, we are unsure if this will even take place. What we can tell you, listeners, is that an air of secrecy has fallen over TRIAC of late, and we feel that a veil has been pulled across our eyes. We at the Chronicle feel that something is not right, and only time and the diligent work of our reporters will uncover the truth, if it is there to be found. The scheduled summit at Hawick has, for now, been cancelled, and the rumours that have been circulating for the last year regarding Queen Victoria hosting the next summit in her palace at New London can obviously not go ahead after the recent loss of the capital. What happens from here is a mystery, but one that the Chronicle will reveal with hard work and good reporting. For now, however, we have come to the end of our allotted time. So once again, this is Benedict Forsyth, saying goodbye, and keep listening wherever you are.